Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, which is your favorite Game Boy Dr. Mario virus? The gray one or the gray one? It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including everything coming out of Mario Day 2024. And then on Thursday, we are determining which other Xbox Studios games should come to Switch. We say other because this is in addition to Grounded and Pentiment. There was a piece of information lacking from the setup there, but I've plugged it back in. Mark, how's it going?
It's going great. Patrick, I am glad to see that you're recovered from your Mario Day celebrations.
Yeah, okay, yes. I mean, I didn't want to get into it too much here, but I did get messed up on
It's St.
Mario
Patrick's Day for Nintendo fans, for
right.
sure.
That's right. I am feeling much better now, so thank you. And Mark, I am sorry to see that you have not recovered.
No, I'm still a mess. Still wearing the same red T-shirt that I was wearing on Mario Day because, of course, I didn't want to get punched.
Right.
Everybody knows that if you
You'll
don't wear
get
red,
punched if you don't wear
red on Mario
shirt.
Day.
And I can see that you've got a bunch of pairs of blue overalls just strewn around.
I don't even know who they belong to anymore. One of them is probably mine, but
But I mean,
it's
who
hard to
wants
know.
It's look, you know that in the lead up to every Mario Day that you're gonna get a pair of blue overalls.
I know, and see that's the frustrating thing is that you wait for the day after Mario Day,
right?
And blue overalls, they're all marked
so
down
cheap.
half price.
Yes,
but I never think to buy
good
them
ones
then.
Too.
I know, I never think to buy them then.
No,
I'm
well,
always buying them in the lead up to.
Right, you're out of the mood, right? You're like, oh, I just gotta put away all the Mario Day stuff.
Well, then of course you have your one pair of the ugly blue overalls for ugly blue overalls parties at the office and that sort of thing.
There's something about that irony and that detachment from it that I just think is kind of cheap, and I just don't like it.
It is hard when they make new
when it says
blue overalls that are specifically ugly.
Right, you're like, oh, these are the kind of overalls your mother would wear on Mario Day in 1984.
But you're going to an office Mario Day party for Secret Luigi, and
right,
it's
right.
Just...
It could be a more boring party, right? There are more traditional ways to celebrate Mario Day.
Exactly,
and you don't want to have to get tied down that. And plus, it's just. Yeah, then you got to buy everyone something, and it's the sales that Nintendo puts on for Mario Day are kind of nothing at this point. So
I mean, it's an expensive holiday for sure.
It's an expensive holiday for sure, and it's just got too commercial.
It has. We've forgotten the true meaning of Mario Day, but I'm glad that you had a good one. I had a good one. I hope all of our listeners had a great Mario Day, however they chose to celebrate it.
Yep. And if you would like to support us on Patreon, you are free to do so. Patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society. If you are there and supporting us at the 8-bit or 16-bit levels, you get access to our once-a-month episodes of various miniseries that we do there and release there. We are currently making our way through NCS Arcade.
Yeah, having a lot of fun with it. Patrick and I are playing games that we've never beaten before on Nintendo Switch Online and Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack.
Yep.
We started with The Legend of Zelda, The Minish Cap. In
retrospect, great.
In February, we did Jet Force Gemini, the Nintendo 64 game. And then in March, we are going to be playing Kirby Tilt and Tumble. And
we're going from one insane control scheme to another.
That's right. And and then we've also, the first miniseries we did was NCS Detective Club, where we talked about the great detective shows of television. And after that was NCS Goes Broadway, where we talked about Broadway musicals.
Yep.
It's a lot of fun.
And off-Broadway musicals. We did both. Yeah, sure. Yes. Yes. So check all that out. The back catalog is all up there, and there's a lot to listen to. Thank you so much to everyone who supports us over there. We appreciate it. You can also join our Discord. Discord is a cool chat room place where everyone is talking about Nintendo. It is specific to us. So if you are there, then you are talking to other people who are interested in this show. If you'd like to be part of it, just email us, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com, and we will send you an invitation. Mark, this is my standard plug for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles source book, the first issue of which is out now. This is a book that I wrote that is about the IDW Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Very excited about this, very proud of it. Issue 2 is coming out in early April, so if you don't have that pre-ordered already and you want it, pre-order it. Comic book stores don't stock a ton of these, and they go fast. So pre-order it if you are interested. Mark, we got an email from a listener responding to a 433 that it was just last week that we did this 433, right? Movie Snacks?
Yeah, I think so.
Email from Love Nermy that says, hey, you guys, regarding your talk about movie snacks, you should come to Sweden. When it comes to candy, we are the best in the world. Mark talked about a buffet of movie snacks. That is the norm in Sweden. It's called Los Godis. And then there's a photo. Call me when you get here.
And the photo, first of all, yes, we will.
Yes.
2, we'll have to go see a movie, and absolutely, because the buffet looks exactly what I want out of a movie theater buffet.
Can I tell you the one place that it is not meeting my expectation?
Popcorn.
There's no popcorn,
and
there's no pretzel bites. Like I want the savory. I want a savory in addition to a sweet.
Well, that's a question, because like in some countries, popcorn is not, like, they don't eat it. Popcorn is pig food. So I'm curious if that is the case in Sweden, where they're like, well, that is for pigs.
Well, grease me up. I'm a little piggy.
That's right. Oink oink.
Does that track grease me up? What does a pig do? No, I don't even really like popcorn that much at movies.
Yeah.
As discussed, we barely eat any of it. But I would like a handful.
Sure, yeah.
And again, we need like a divided trade. These people in the picture seem to be holding bowls that are just like...
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, sure. Are there some American innovations we could bring to this snack buffet?
A divided tray, yes.
I think so. But I think this is just a good example of why Sweden has like the #1 quality of life in the world.
This is correct. If you have any corrections or observations about our 433s or anything at all, email us, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. We appreciate getting those always. All right, Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week. Princess Peach Showtime.
That's right. A demo dropped just last week.
Yes, a demo dropped just last week. It provides like 2 levels worth of stuff. I assume that you can go back into those levels and have like more experiences with those transformations.
I think so too. I think like what we saw was just a very small taste of each of them. So
Yes.
you can play the sword fighter,
Mm-hmm.
and then the
Patisserie.
Yes.
Wait, patissiere?
Right?
Patisserie is where you buy pastries, right?
Yes.
Okay, right.
And then a patissiere is the pastry person.
Yes,
Okay.
pastry chef, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Baker?
no, I think you're right.
Okay.
And so I think it's just a small taste of both.
Mhm.
So one thing that we learned when this demo was released is that the game is developed by the company Goodfeel,
Yes.
which Nintendo has worked with a lot on. You know, they developed games like Yoshi's Crafted World
Mm-hmm.
and
the Woolly World, I believe.
and Woolly World and Kirby's Epic Yarn. But they also, like in the Wii era, they did WarioWare The Shake Dimension or WarioWare Shake It.
It's WarioWare Shake It, yeah.
And then
Wario Land Shake It.
Oh yeah, Wario Land.
Yeah.
I have like
the WarioWare is Smooth Moves, not developed by Goodfeel.
Yes.
Yes.
I also think that they are they also responsible for Hey Pikmin, or was that somebody else?
I don't remember.
I'll
look it up.
I generally speaking don't really like their games.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I heard that they were the developers of Princess Peach Showtime, I was a little bit bummed. Um, and I uh, also kind of wish that Princess Peach Showtime, just because I would love to see what an internally developed Nintendo game that is about Princess Peach, what that would look like, right? If like you
Yes.
had the same group of minds that worked on like Super Mario Odyssey, like if they were allowed to let loose with a Princess Peach game, what would that look like?
What game had you asked about? I'm sorry.
Hey Pikmin.
No, they did not develop Hey Pikmin.
Okay. But all of that said about like the developer, like what the game isn't,
Let's talk about what the game is.
Yeah, and I was like pleasantly surprised.
Yes.
I think the game, like the patissiere part, was not a
super mini gamey, right?
It was super mini gamey, but it was not like push over easy.
No.
But like the sword fighter part, is pretty easy.
Pretty easy, yeah. I do like that there is like a parry / like dodge mechanic of like you push either jump or attack at like the last second to do like a counter attack, but that last second may genuinely be an entire second long. Like it is a huge window of opportunity for you to push that button and like execute the counter attack.
I also didn't feel like it was there's like Kirby game easy, and I did not feel like it was like that easy.
Well, wait, what do you mean? Do you mean it was not as easy as a Kirby game, or it was not the same flavor of easy?
I mean that sometimes, like when I started up the what was the Kirby game that was released last like February? That was
Return to Dreamland.
Return to
Deluxe.
Dreamland. I played a little bit of it and was just like, oh right, some of these Kirby games just not for me because it doesn't really feel like there's any sort of skill or challenge involved or anything like that. But with this one, like it felt like it's aimed at a younger audience, for sure.
Right.
But I wasn't bored in my time playing it.
No, well, and I do think that a lot of why the game isn't boring, because I think it probably could be, right? But I think a lot of the ways that the game is not boring is in its presentation. I will say that just like technically, the game kind of chugs. There are a lot of times, especially in like the cutscenes or like just like weird specific moments where like frame rate drops, right? And like doesn't look good. But the art style of the game and the way it like presents itself in terms of like the music and in terms of the like in the reality where you are is very like fun and inviting, and that the sets all look like tactile and like physical is very cool, right? And I think that's a lot of what Goodfield does well, Epic Yarn, Woolly World, Crafted World. And I think in this game, it's really like paying off in a way that those other games are sort of like an abstraction to present you with something. And this is kind of just like, no, Princess Peach is in a play.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. That's an interesting distinction because with both Epic Yarn and Woolly World, it's like, why does it look like this?
Right. And the answer is kind of just like, it's fun for it to
cool.
look like this. And it is, and it does. But yeah, having it be like more grounded in like the fiction of the game or like the reality of the game, it feels better, I think.
I also think it's fun. Like, I think hopefully it'll be interesting to see picked two really interesting ones to have for the demo.
Yeah.
Because they are so different.
Yeah.
And so,
but both start with you just like running around with the ribbon and like just sort of vanilla Peach, and then it like turns into something else.
Yep. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't think that there is necessarily like a lot more to the game to be discovered. Like I think we've seen all the transformations. Probably. Maybe there's
I think there's probably one end game transformation we haven't seen yet, which bums me out a little bit because I'm like, you can hold some of your secrets, guys. But I mean, I think there are a bunch of cool transformations that we've, like the Mighty Peach and the Cowgirl Peach. Like, I think there's a bunch of stuff in there that is going to be very fun to play as. And I guess I'm glad that the demo doesn't like give all of that away.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say like the demo did nothing to make me more or less interested in the experience.
I think it actually made me a little more interested in the experience because the music was good. That's something that's always a little bit hard to gauge from trailers, like especially when it's not playing, tunes you recognize. But I just felt like it did a good job of matching the vibes of both the Sword Fighter Peach and the Patissiere. I'll get there. I will get there. That I just thought the music was well matched to that. So yeah, I would say I am looking forward to this. I was looking forward to it before. And like I sort of expect it to be kind of a slight experience. And that's okay by me.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Partly because there is another game that I've been putting like time into, and that's Pentiment.
Pentiment. Tell me about your Pentiment experience.
So this is one where the game has been out like for 2 years on other platforms, which is both good and bad. It's good because I can go online and see other people's reactions to some of the things that I'm experiencing.
Yes.
But it feels kind of silly to be like, hey, do you know what's a really good game is Pentiment when
right.
a large part of the world already had, like, they're like, yeah, that's true. I know that. I played this 2 years ago.
There's a Jim Gaffigan bit, which is in itself from like 15 years ago. But a Jim Gaffigan bit where he's like, you ever see a movie years after it came out and no one wants to talk to you about it? His example is, I just saw Heat. Want to talk about it? But yeah, no, I mean, that's, a common thing. But so are you using like guides or anything?
No. Okay, so
because it feels like a not guidey game.
Yes, I completely agree with that.
I want to not know what I'm getting myself into with Pentiment. Yeah.
I want to talk about this game so much, but in order to talk about it, I have to spoil it, and I don't want to do that because I think you should play it.
Okay. Well, wait. How far are you into this game? How big of a game is it?
I don't know how big it is, but I just completed the first like mystery part of it.
Okay, all right.
And there's like multiple, and I just completed the first one, and it is both exactly what I was expecting and wanted. Like it reminds me so much. It's like a very compelling murder mystery.
Yep.
And it's set like the setting reminds me a lot of In the Name of the Rose, the like Umberto Eco book that I really like. And so like it's pushing all the right buttons, and it makes the game itself is like the writing is really good.
Really good writing.
Already I'm like, ooh, I want to replay that first mission because I want to make different choices and see, like what the difference is. And what the different outcomes that I can like affect are. So I this whole time I've been like Pentiment, like I always want to call it like penitent or something like that.
Right.
And so I finally looked up what Pentiment means.
Here we go.
And it's
we're learning stuff on this show.
Yeah, so it's in painting. So the Italian is pentimento for repentance. But it's like the presence or emergence of earlier images, forms, or strokes that have been changed and painted over. And the game has a kind of like interesting, I'll say, twist to it that nobody should go into it if you're like me and haven't played it. Like go into it expecting some like grand reveal or like twist in that way. It just makes an interesting.
The Pope is an alien.
Yeah, it makes an interesting choice for a whodunit, or a game that presents itself as a whodunit that I think like has made me consider what is meant by the name. And if somebody who listens to the show and is in the Discord has played this game, DM me because I desperately want to talk to somebody about it.
Well, so I had started Pentiment last week and played just a little bit of it. I've been on Ninja Turtles Deadline that I'm just emerged from today. So like I'm eager to get back to it. I've got some travel coming up in my future, which I just sounded like a magic 8-ball. But
Well,
you
you
know what
always
I mean.
keep one handy with you.
That's I do, and I have to consult it so I know what to say next on the show. But I'm gonna put some time into it, and so we can talk about it. Maybe even like carve out a little Pentiment corner, because the little bit that I played before, really just like establishing who my character was, what his background was, and all that kind of stuff, was very compelling to me. And I got to put some more time into it.
Yeah, totally. That sounds great because I am really enjoying it, and I'm really interested to see what happens next. Like,
Right.
it's been a while since I've had a game like this where, I mean, it was probably the last one that I had the same feeling was probably Tears of the Kingdom, where when I put it down, I don't stop thinking about it, and I
Whoa.
just want to get back to playing
Yeah.
it and kind of like see what happens next. I'm really enjoying it. It's really blown me away. I've liked it a lot.
That's really cool. I will get back into it. I, as I just said, have not had a ton of time to play games, but because I have been running myself ragged on this Turtles thing, I got into a rhythm of staying up late and waking up early to write. And so when I sent off my draft was due on Monday, and I sent it in at 11:47 on on Sunday night. So hey, it's like 10. That's like 10 minutes early, right? So I went to bed around midnight, woke up at about 5, and was like, "This is what my body thinks my life is supposed to be right now." So I was like, you know what? I'm going to use this time to like play some games. So a couple weeks ago when it was on sale, I purchased Disney Illusion Island, that Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Goofy game that we had seen in Nintendo Directs for a while, and that I had never turned on. I just bought it. So I played for like an hour and a half this morning, and then when I got home from work, I was like, kind of want to keep playing Disney Illusion Island. So I've put maybe like 3-ish hours into this game, and it's great. Like it's a like platforming Metroidvania where you don't have an attack. There's no attacking. You just run and jump. And wall jump, and all these other like little things. It's all traversal based. Mickey and his friends are nonviolent, and the moving, the running, the jumping all just feels great. There are like long stretches of the game where it's just like, here's like, as you're traveling from one area of the map to another, where you're just like running, jumping over one enemy, running a little bit more, jumping over a pit, running a little bit more, jumping. There's like platform, and then you get to the other side, and it all just like feels like it offers a very like Zen flow state kind of thing of just like, do you like running around as these characters? The answer is yes. Here you go. So I'm really, really enjoying it.
That's cool. How do you, if there's no like combat, for lack of a
Yes.
better term, what are boss fights like?
So I've only done one boss fight so far, and in this boss fight, there are like switches that appear, that will like trigger something if you like hit the switches, and then it like sends a shock over to the boss that you're fighting. So it's just about like running around and like triggering things, to make this to deal damage to a boss. But yeah, like you're not jumping on anything, or for like attack purposes. And it's very like refreshing in that way, of just it's just a violence free game.
Yeah, that's cool.
And the like cutscenes are all in that Mickey Mouse style that I really like. The like Wonderful World of Mickey Mouse, the cartoons that are on Disney Plus, that I think are really good and funny. And I think the writing is great, and the performances of the characters are all like, those characters. Like everything sounds and feels like right and genuine, and it feels like I'm playing a Disney product, which I am, but also like, I don't know. It's I'm very pleased with it. You collect Disney memorabilia as you go. I just completed the Steamboat Willie set of like 3 different little artifacts from Steamboat Willie, and I'm just I don't know. I'm just having a great time with it, and Pentiment feels like it's probably going to be a little bit more compelling and like intellectually stimulating. But I gotta say, after the like last 2 weeks that I've had, having something a Mickey Mouse game that I can just turn my brain off and like run and jump and not be particularly challenged by is great.
That's fun. Because the game has up to 4-person co-op.
Yes.
Is it drop in, drop out?
I think it is. I've only played it by myself. And keep in mind, all of the game that I have played today, mostly very early in the morning. But so yeah, I don't know. I'll look into it and report back. The other thing I wanted to say. Oh yes. So when you start the game, it's like how much of a challenge do you want this to be? So you can decide like the sort of base level is you have 3 hearts. Like you can take 3 hits and then like you die and get respawned back at a mailbox, and there are mailboxes everywhere, so like it's fine. And I was like, I'm gonna go down 1. I'm gonna give myself 2 hearts instead of 3. And I'm kind of like, that's fun because it means you can mess up like once and then be like, okay, now I know how to do this. You can get healed, pretty easily eventually. But I kind of want to turn it down to 1 and just like play it like it's a old school Mario game. You can change the level of hearts you have at any time, no penalty for changing it, which I think is great and very fun, and is something that I noticed in the Princess Peach Showtime demo, that if you want 3 extra hearts to like go into a level with 3 extra hearts, you just talk to a guy and he gives them to you.
Yep.
You don't have to buy them or anything.
Yeah.
It just happens.
Yeah, and you can give it back anytime you don't want it. Yeah, I'm really into games giving with like variable difficulty. I think it's such a good a good idea.
And like being able to tune it in that specifically of like oh yeah, I you know what, having it's just like is it from Tropical Freeze, the Switch version where you have 3 hearts instead of 2?
Yeah.
So like that kind of stuff where it's like the developer was like, oh, maybe this is better for the balance of the game, but like just give that ability to the player, right? I was thinking about how it was so common in like the NES days for there to be like a code, especially in like a Konami game, that you entered and then you had 30 lives or you had 10 lives or whatever. And it's like, yeah, that should just be an option. Like, just let me just switch on 10 lives.
Right.
So yeah, it's cool that both Princess Peach Showtime and Disney Illusion Island seem to have this sort of like baked into the way these games play, and is nothing that you have to like buy at a store. It just is an option that's available to you. I do wish that Showtime would let you do that from the beginning, because like in the demo anyway, that option didn't unlock until after the Sword Fighter level, at which point hearts were kind of pointless. Right.
And also, this is just a side thing. The Showtime demo doesn't carry over, right? Like the save data?
I would guess not. I mean,
Yeah.
I got through the Showtime demo in like 15 minutes, I think. So, yeah, I would guess that it does not carry over, but it does seem like it is the beginning of the game, right?
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I can't really get a feel for it. I am excited. I don't know the name of the like big-nosed creatures.
I forget. Yes.
I forget, but I'm excited to learn and internalize that so we can use them in our lists and ranking episodes going forward.
Yes. I also, I gotta say, don't know how I really didn't clock it in the trailers, but like Peach loses her crown at the beginning of this game.
Right.
And loses access to Toad, who like got her tickets to the theater. So you are suddenly in a crownless, toadless theater. And yeah, I don't know, it's cool. It's like making her John McClane. She doesn't have access. She doesn't have her shoes.
Right. Exactly. Or like Samus.
Yes.
In Metroid game, where she's stripped of all of her powers.
That's right. All right, Mark. That's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
On Wednesday, tomorrow, March 13th, as part of the Mario Day announcements, we learned that to the Nintendo Switch Online, Game Boy and Game Boy Color, Dr. Mario is going to be coming.
Mm-hmm.
Mario Golf and Mario Tennis.
Yes, and the those are all Game Boy Color games except for Dr. Mario, which is just a regular old Game Boy game. I remember this version of Dr. Mario being hard to parse with my child eyes, looking at a pea green screen in a poorly lit, backseat of a station wagon. Um, really trying to figure out what color the pills are that I'm dropping on these little guys. Um, but Dr. Mario is Dr. Mario.
I don't think I've ever played the Game Boy version before.
It's weird. It's also this is another example of too many versions of one game on the service, right? Because we have Dr. Mario 64, we have regular old Dr. Mario on NES, and now the Game Boy one. That's too many different ways to play Dr. Mario.
It's a lot of different Dr. Mario.
Mm-hmm.
So Mario Golf and Mario Tennis.
Yes.
I feel like I have interest in, especially the Mario Tennis. Maybe it has the same sort of mechanic, but Mario Golf.
Yes.
I feel like the Game Boy Color Mario Golf game is kind of held up as by fans as like the Mario Golf game that all other Mario Golf games are measured against.
That all other Mario Golf games are failing to be.
Yes, because it like famously has a story mode with some like light RPG elements.
So I believe this is true of the tennis game as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like these are the ones that modern golf and Mario Golf or Mario Tennis games are always compared to. And I've never played these before.
No, me neither.
So I'm kind of interested in checking out the story mode for these and seeing how, I guess, like how good they are.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of want to like see if their reputation is warranted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if people were like, "Wow, you get to choose and like you gain levels." Like if it's something really like rudimentary that like we look back on with rose tinted glasses or what. But yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna check both of these out. Do they feel like odd selections to you? If they're like, it's Mario Day, we're going to celebrate Mario by putting games on the Game Boy. Super Mario Land, not on Game Boy yet.
Super Mario Land, not on Game Boy. Do you, what do we think they're waiting for?
Mark, I don't know.
Like, do you think we should expect it at all?
Yes, I think we should expect it. Do I think it'll happen? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I think we should expect it. I think at this point, like, they've dribbled out Game Boy games with such infrequency that I feel like they gotta like turn on the fire hose at some point, right? And they're just like, here are all the Game Boy games you want to play, because there are so many Game Boy games that Nintendo published that aren't on this service yet.
But well, I think maybe the tricky part of that is like that you want to play. Are there a lot of Game Boy games? My Game Boy library, like growing up, was not extensive.
Yeah.
I didn't have a ton of games for it, and so I
mean, Alleyway's not on this thing yet.
Alleyway is not on it.
Alleyway's not on this thing.
And that's technically a Mario game.
Because Mario is in it.
He climbs into that little like
That's
spaceship.
Right. He's in all of the launch day games. But like, yeah, Mario Land, Super Mario Land 3, Wario Land is not on there yet. Yeah, no, there are definitely like good playable first party Game Boy games that have not been released on the Nintendo Switch Online yet. And I guess like Mario Golf, Mario Tennis, those are games that people have been asking for, that they like hold in some sort of high regard. The Dr. Mario inclusion is a little strange to me, but it's, I do like it when these things just become like collections of curiosities.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun to me too.
Do you think that Mario Land is being remade, and so that's why we're not seeing it? But see, that seems so unlikely because it's such a slight.
It's so small
game,
right? It's 4 worlds, right?
Something like, yeah.
And it has like weird little vehicle sections in a way that Mario never does. I mean, yeah, it's a weird game and like arguably a pretty bad game.
Is it just because it's so different from other like
I don't know.
modern Mario that they? I don't know. It feels like one that when Game Boy came to Nintendo Switch Online,
Yes.
it would have naturally launched with, and now that it didn't,
Yeah.
it feels like it could come tomorrow or just never show up.
Well, and yes. Which also Donkey Kong 94 is in that same conversation,
Right.
I'm just mad at myself for having not brought it up when I was like, yes, there are games that we would want to play. That's like one of the games. Mole Mania, another a Miyamoto directed game that is on Game Boy that should be on the service. So yeah, there definitely are games, and I don't know why they don't turn on the fire hose.
And then on Thursday, March 14th, Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection is released digitally.
They do be putting out Star Wars games.
They are, yes.
These are Aspire, yes?
I think
Yes.
so, yeah. And this one, I feel like people are excited for in a way that the
Yes.
last few handful, I'll say, of the Aspire Star Wars remasters.
You and I might be more negative on them than
I think that's
than
possible.
The rest of the population. But I
Yeah.
mean, like, the Knights of the Old Republic 2, they had said that they were going to restore lost content. Didn't. So like, yeah, there's some like objectively bad things around the Aspire Star Wars re-releases, and then just on top of it, I just don't care for those games.
Right.
I guess.
Right.
And also, when they put out the Force Unleashed, it was the Wii version of it. What's that?
So I on the one hand, I'm like, great. I wish they would have put out both.
Yes.
Where you had the Wii version. It's like having too many ways to play Dr. Mario. It's like too many ways to play The Force Unleashed.
Yes, I think that is fine. Also, there's 4 different ways to play Super Mario Brothers 3 on the Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack. It's too many. All right, Mark, those are the new releases. Is there anything there that no? I mean, we talked about it. All right, let's close this segment out. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It is time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, where a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, you've written something inscrutable to me in our show notes here. What are we talking about?
That's right. We're talking about 137 best nickname 14. So,
best nickname 14?
Yes.
Okay, all right. You heard right. Neither of those are plural.
So in the run-up to our recording of the show tonight, I was thinking about what we could do for 433.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe it would be fun to do something around nicknames. We find popular nicknames, and like we both say simultaneously who we think, which of us like that nickname applies to.
Oh, sure,
So I
right.
was looking for a list of popular nicknames. And
Like, which one of us is the hammer?
exactly.
Right.
And so I came across this
3, 2, 1.
Patrick.
Me.
I came across this clearly AI-generated article that I just wanted to read excerpts from.
Oh, okay, great.
This is from a website called namesfrog.com.
Uh-huh.
And it's
Wait, names for all or names frog?
Namesfrog.
Okay.
137 best nicknames for teen.
Is that just the website introducing itself to you? Hi, name's frog.
Published October 2nd, 2023.
Mm-hmm.
The name teen is a unique and uncommon moniker. It is believed to have originated from various cultures and languages, making its exact meaning somewhat elusive. However, the name often carries connotations of youthfulness and vibrancy, which perfectly encapsulates the essence of a teenager.
So wait, this AI thinks that teen is a name for a person?
So I think what happened
Yeah.
is that this website created articles for like thousands of names.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Got it.
Give me 137 best nicknames for, and then it just like inserted probably like a list.
Right.
And so it was just injecting random words in there for search engine purposes, and teen just happened to be one of them.
Okay.
So here's I'm reading from the article again. Here's a mixed collection of curated cute, funny, and common nicknames for teen. Ready for some of these?
Sure. Still doesn't explain why nicknames is not pluralized in the headline.
T-Bird, Tino, Teasy, Teeks, Teaker,
Okay.
TB,
Wait, TV?
TB.
Oh, I see.
T-Train. Here's some,
You shouldn't call your friend TB. That's bad.
and I'm just picking some of the, because
Yeah.
there are 137 of them. Here's some.
We got time.
Here's some unique nicknames for teen. These are unique teen nicknames you may consider: Zest, Dash,
So wait, hold
Jinx,
on. Wait.
Orbit,
So wait, is it
Prism,
Just, is it just saying words?
Nebula, Viridian.
Rascal. Domino.
Not on the list. Not on the list. Commonly used
Pedal.
Commonly
Yes.
used nicknames for teen. Some of the most common used teen nicknames are T, Tenny, T,
Wait,
T-Dog,
Sorry, what was the difference between T and T?
T-E-E, and then just the letter T.
Got it.
T-Dog, T-Man.
Is Mr. T on this list? Because if Mr. T isn't on this list,
I'm doing a search
pity the
right now.
fool.
Mr. T is not on this list.
All right. Fascinating.
I guess I'm just not immediately concerned
Yeah.
about oh, here's a good one.
Yeah.
130 named best nicknames for yeah, I literally think they just went through the alphabet and
just generated words.
uh-huh.
So is it possible that like an AI is writing prompts for this AI to write?
I think it might be. Yeah.
Man, that's terrifying. Metal Gear Solid 2 was right. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
This past Sunday was, of course, Mario Day, March 10th, and Nintendo celebrated.
How do you think they deal with that in like Europe, where you would put the 10 before the month?
Oh yeah.
Tenmar? Eomar? Do they know that that's not how you say Mario's name?
I think they know.
Okay, all right. Do they not celebrate like Aermir Day, like from Lord of the Rings? Spelled different, but like it's phonetically the same.
Maybe this is just an example of everybody's so excited for Mario Day that they just roll
Right.
with it.
Yeah,
Right.
That's a good point. I mean, you get 2 weeks off.
Yeah, you don't want to scrutinize the logic of it
Right,
too much.
You're right.
And we all know that it was an old pagan holiday, anyways.
Right.
So this past Sunday was Mario Day, and Nintendo celebrated the occasion with a short video announcing a few things. So first of all,
Handful of things. Time to announce them.
Mr. Miyamoto
Mm-hmm.
shows up in the video, and he announces a sequel to the Super Mario Brothers movie that'll be
Yes.
released in the United States and assorted other territories, a handful of other territories,
They're very interested in talking about what other territories.
on April 3rd, 2026.
Now, I know that Nintendo is a global company. They have this international reach in a way that, like, maybe other movie studios aren't as interested in like expressing on the front end, but I just think it's so funny that Nintendo in announcing a movie is like, here is when it is going to be in every region. It's very important that we communicate all of this to you up front.
Well, especially interesting because that was the plan with the first movie.
That's right. And then
And
it came out
then-
in North America first, right?
Didn't it end up rolling out everywhere worldwide? Because
I don't remember.
So my memory is that it was originally supposed to release in North America during the holiday
Right.
of 2022, and then they would roll out later in different territories, and then they ended up releasing worldwide in.
It was April,
April?
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So does it seem like they are staking April as like Mario movie month because the new movie they're targeting April 3rd, 2026. Who knows if they'll hit that?
Right.
But were they just like best not mess with success?
Right. I mean, April worked for us before.
April worked for them before.
We literally made $1 billion.
Yes. I mean, they're staying with the same animation studio, with the same directors even. So, like, it seems as though they are trying to replicate what they did last time.
Yep. Down to the presentations where they're splitting time between Miyamoto and then Illumination Entertainment producer, founder, guru, Chris Meledandri.
Right.
And so Miyamoto throws it to Chris-san.
Right, which did not say Meledandri's name first. So when he was like, now we go to Chris-san. I was like, oh, are we getting a Pratt like cameo here? Is he going to talk about stomping Koopas or whatever? But no. It was Milodandri.
Yeah. And so, he does his little thing.
Yeah, 20 seconds of business.
Yep.
Yep.
And then tosses it back to Miyamoto. Miyamoto shows off his t-shirt, his Mario t-shirt.
Right.
Wearing red so he doesn't get punched on Mario Day.
That's right.
And then that was pretty much it for the Super Mario Brothers movie sequel news.
Yes, basically that it will exist. They're a little more than 2 years out from they expect releasing the movie, and that a lot of the same talent is coming back for it. A couple just like little snippets of the language to pull out here. Miyamoto said that they were developing a quote new animated movie based on the world of Super Mario Brothers, which is an odd way to express a sequel to the Super Mario Brothers movie. I did see where was I reading this on Animation World Network, that a website that wrote up the video, and this was like the sub like the lead under the headline, said that while plot details are still firmly under wraps, the new animated film project doesn't appear to be a sequel, but rather a fresh take on Mario's world, which is a read of what happens in that video, but like that's got to be just be some like translation thing, right? This is a sequel to the Super Mario Brothers movie.
I would be really shocked if it's not.
Yeah, if they were just like, now we're like reinventing
yeah,
what it is.
We have this $1 billion grossing movie.
Right.
We're just going to throw it all away.
That's right.
And to start over.
Right. So I expect this to be that same but also like no cast announced. I wonder like is this announcement, was it news to Jack Black and like Anya Taylor-Joy? Like, do these people know that like?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we shouldn't read too much into the fact that there wasn't like a cast announcement along with it. I think it's totally fair to just expect this to be a sequel to the last movie with the same cast and all that stuff until we hear otherwise. Also, 2026, interesting, I guess, in the way that we have no release information about the live action Zelda movie, but the fact that this is releasing in 2026 makes me think that that movie will not release in 2026, and that it'll,
and probably not in 2025 either, right? Like that would be fast, especially because the director is still working on that Planet of the Apes movie that's coming out this year, right?
Well, we don't know. I mean, that movie could be finished. It comes out in just a couple months,
right?
So he might be done with it. And
but he's probably on some sort of like publicity circuit for it,
right?
If nothing else.
Yeah. And I bet he'll be asked about Zelda a lot. So
do you think that?
So it'll be interesting. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe we will get some a little bit of information out of him, but I doubt it.
Yeah,
he wants that job, so he's going to keep it locked down.
You simply must keep it locked down. Another thing that Milodandri said is that they were busy storyboarding scenes and developing set designs for new environments. Perhaps discouraging to me. There's no point where they're like, we've cracked a really great story that we're proud of.
Well, I think, I mean, I'm no expert, but I think animation just works differently from a lot of, I mean, not that live action movies usually have a locked script when they go into production, especially like blockbusters, but animated movies especially. I remember watching the documentary on Disney Plus about the making of Frozen 2. I didn't really like Frozen 2 that much, but the making of documentary is really interesting because it was such a scramble to make it, and up to the last minute relatively, they are, as much as you can for like an enormous production like that, they're like figuring the plot out and how exactly does this all connect together and what does it like mean. I think animated movies are built a little different.
But I mean, I think that is also just a part of modern movie making too, because like, and you can argue that like the Marvel movies at this point are cartoons anyway, but like I think that is definitely something that you see out of the last couple of years of Marvel movies, where you're like, oh, I see where like there was a spine to this, but then in the editing, and that's even like part of like Kevin Feige's superpower is that like he had the ability to see all these pieces of bone that he could then construct into a spine,
right?
Yeah, I mean that may just be the way movies work now. Milodandri did also say that they start animation soon.
when you were talking about Marvel movies just
Yeah.
being like cartoons, this is a total sidebar.
I love
Not
it.
about like the Mario movie at all. So there's a YouTuber whose name is Patrick H. Willems who does
Yeah.
like film commentary,
Yeah.
or not film commentary, like film analysis.
Yeah.
And
It's like film industry analysis.
yes, and he recently did a video on like Muppet movies, not like the Muppet movies, but that time in the 80s when
Yeah.
Jim Henson was making movies that were not Muppet movies, but they were movies that featured puppets heavily.
Sure, we're
like-
talking like Labyrinth
and like
Dark
Crystal and
yeah.
like that sort of stuff. And how he touches on how like special effects in the 80s, if you wanted to create something fantastic, like making it practically with stop motion or with puppetry was the way that you did it.
Right.
And how with CGI, especially in the early days of CGI, the idea was like, oh, now we can make things look super realistic. Like you could make things with puppets and they looked real in the sense that they were in the world and people were interacting with them, but they didn't look like real.
Yeah. That's
Whereas
right.
with like the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, like those looked real.
Right. You could achieve photorealism and not necessarily emotional realism, which you
Yes.
could before with puppets.
Exactly. And so when CGI was introduced, it was with the idea of like bringing photorealism.
Yeah.
But now like the tables have completely, his point is that the tables have completely turned, and now CGI has made movies into cartoons. And when people want to make them look real, they are, even if they're using computer graphics, they are striving to make it look like
a physical object.
Like a physical object.
That's interesting. I'm going to check out that video. I like his videos.
Let's see.
I do not expect that the new Super Mario movie will be photorealistic.
I don't know. No.
Do you have any kind of? It's way too early. We don't know anything. But do you have any like desires regarding the another Super Mario Brothers movie?
Oh boy. I mean, I did not enjoy the first one, and
Mhm.
so like my desires for it are to be enjoyable. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
but I feel like they have a lot that they could play with. That you could absolutely introduce. Like Daisy, you could introduce
Mhm.
Rosalina.
Yep.
There's a ton of different places they could go. They could always introduce Wart. That would be
Look,
fun.
They could always introduce Wart.
Yep.
Yeah. But it is weird to me that they're not like, and we're bringing the cast back, or like anything. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it truly will be a new take on the world of Super Mario. And they'll prove that the IP is bigger than any of the talent connected to it.
I mean, that would be a very Nintendo way to approach this. We get the occasional direct sequel of a Mario game, very occasionally, but for the most part, they do kind of crumple it up, throw it in the trash, and start all over.
Yeah.
That'd be really fascinating if that's the approach that they take with the movies.
Yeah.
Also, so like Miyamoto does his thing, it kind of fades out, and then we just get a little bit more news.
We just get a little more news.
So first we learned that Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door is releasing May 23rd, 2024.
We have dates. We have not gone past the threshold of not having any future dates for Nintendo
like
games.
we talked about in last week's news
Mhm.
episode. Do you think the fact that we now have dates for, because of course the rumor was that we got a partner showcase in February, then we would get a Nintendo Direct in April,
Mhm.
and then a reveal of new hardware in June. The fact that we got these dates and they take us through the end of June, do you think that makes it more or less likely that we get that rumored Nintendo Direct in April? I feel like less likely.
I don't know. I mean, we are in a weird year, capital W, capital Y for Nintendo, right?
Yep.
And I don't think that we will be able to. The only thing that I'm comfortable saying for certain about Nintendo right now is that the next Switch is not coming out this year. Like that's it. Everything else outside of the announced release dates, I feel like is just guessing at this point.
Well, maybe this is probably drawing a connection to something that doesn't exist. But
Yeah.
how you were saying, like, oh, it's kind of weird that they didn't show the cast or didn't talk about the cast at all when
Yeah.
they did the movie announcement. I feel like Nintendo, is just inscrutable in how they choose to do things. Because when they announced Thousand Year Door, they just had a nebulous 2024 on it.
Right.
And yet, when they talked about Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, from the beginning, we knew it was the summer
Yes.
game,
Right.
and yet it turns out that, and so I thought, okay, Thousand Year Door is going to be later in the year,
Right.
but no, it's coming out before Luigi's Mansion 2 HD.
And who knows? Like, it may have been that they originally planned for Thousand Year Door to come out in like October or whatever, and something else to pop in the sort of spring here. But they were like, this thing's not ready. We shouldn't even show it yet. And I mean, it does seem like Nintendo is off their plan at the moment, and are doing their best to like cobble together a year that looks like something.
Yeah. We didn't get any new information about the Thousand Year Door remake, but it looks good.
Yeah, we got some new screenshots. So like that is it. It does seem like it is a like a pretty complete graphical overhaul, right? Um, and we did also learn, this is a point of conversation in the Discord recently, that it is $59.99. It is a full $60 game.
I guess I'm not surprised.
I guess I'm not surprised either. However, let's get the Luigi's Mansion of it like folded into this as well.
Yes. Before we talk about that,
Okay, yes.
I'm just curious what I'm hoping that there's some quality of life improvements to this. I feel like Thousand Year Door is in the same vein as the Mario Golf and Mario Tennis games,
Right.
where it's kind of like put up or shut up time, right? Like people have been talking about Thousand Year Door as being the perfect Paper Mario game for so long,
Right.
that and I really like Thousand Year Door. I think it's a great game, but I haven't played it for a long time, right? Because it's been stuck on the GameCube. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how this game holds up.
Yeah.
It's going to be really interesting to see if they include some quality of life improvements to, I don't know, change some of the backtracking that you have to do in the game, or what.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's in every old game, and especially in every old RPG, there is fat to cut. And Nintendo's not always the best about cutting fat. Even in like their new games, there's still times where you're like, man, I can't believe I can't speed up this text bubble. I just gotta like listen to Cappy talk to Mario. So yeah, it'll. I hope that they have addressed some of that stuff here.
But yeah, let's talk about the Luigi's Mansion 2 HD of it all. So that game releases June 27th, 2024.
End of June, you were not wrong. End of June.
And also listed for $60.
Yeah. This is a remake of the 3DS game. Not remake is generous.
Yeah, we don't really know.
We don't really know. Yeah.
Anytime we've seen footage of it, it's looked kind of like an Aspire upscale. You know what I mean? Where it's not like where Thousand Year Door feels like a true remake.
Yeah.
It's unclear to me what Luigi's Mansion 2 HD is. The fact that it's called Luigi's Mansion 2 HD seems like we're just upscaling it and calling it a day, but who knows?
I mean, there's a lot that has to happen for a 3DS game to look like anything on a TV. So like, I don't doubt that they've done a lot to like make this game presentable on Switch. However, it doesn't. The screenshots that we've seen so far, and it has new screenshots as well on Nintendo's website, but people have not been surfacing those to be like, hey, look how much better Luigi's Mansion 2 looks. So I don't know. It feels like kind of a bummer. I am of course doomed to pay for these things the day they come out. They are both voucher eligible. I went and checked on this to make sure. We've not gotten a like an end date on those things or anything like that. Which usually they do that where when they put out the voucher program, that they're like, these are good until such and such
we know
date.
that like if you buy vouchers, they're good for 1 year from the date that you purchase them.
Right.
But I think they're following the same playbook that they had the first time they were available in North America, where they're out there now. There's no announced end date for when they'll stop selling new vouchers.
And it seems like all new first-party games are voucher eligible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the $60 here is going back to our discussion about Mario versus Donkey Kong and talking about like the price of that game at $50.
Sure.
Where it is what they can feel like. I think they're looking at the big picture and they're like, well, what do we have for the year? and if we want to hit our revenue goals, then these games have to be $60. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
necessarily.
Well, right. And at this point, it's like, who's buying Luigi's Mansion 2 HD? The people who are going to buy it, whether it's $50 or $60, right? So
Yeah.
charge 60 for it.
Uh,
Also, both of these games are not likely to have any other methods of monetization of any kind. There won't be DLC for them or anything like that. So, like, they got to get whatever they're going to get from it on the front end.
and also, we have to remember that you and I are old, and so we
Mm.
were around when Thousand Year Door was originally released,
Right.
but that was like 20 years ago. So these games, both in Luigi's Mansion 2 has to be a decade old at least.
Yeah.
And so both these games are going to be, for all intents and purposes, new to a vast majority of the Switch audience.
Yeah. It is just strange to me that, like, Luigi's Mansion 2, being as it was a 3DS game, would have launched at $40. And then I believe it was a Nintendo Select, so I think you could have picked it up for $20 for a very long time on 3DS.
But are they like
Okay.
equivalent experiences?
No, probably not.
Like,
yeah.
because it's like saying, yeah, I mean, the same was true of any of the games that were released on the Wii U and then came to Switch, right?
True. Yeah.
But it's like, well, you had to own a Wii U, and so, and if you
right.
di-
And
and
you
if
had
you
to play it
did,
on the
and you,
gamepad, right?
exactly, and if you did and you bought those games,
Yeah.
then
you
maybe
still have
buying them
yeah.
again on the Switch
Right.
isn't for you.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's the thing, is that the quality of life improvements are you can play it on your Switch.
I mean, that's definitely true for Thousand Year Door.
Yeah.
Right. Both games have been, yeah, like if you want to play them on modern hardware,
Yeah, this is
the way
going
to
to be
do
the
it.
only way to do it. Yeah.
Also, in celebration of Mario Day, LEGO announced a Mario Kart Lego set coming in 2025 with a little teaser video. So we talked about the teaser for the teaser last week, where
What are we doing?
where the narrator content, baby, where the narrator of the video was like, "I'm here to talk about like Mario Lego," and then it gets cut off abruptly,
Right,
and he's
and-
like, "How did you get in here?"
Right.
And we were like, "What little gremlin-like creatures could exist in
Yes.
the Mario universe?"
Rabbids?
Turns out, Mario's on carts.
I mean, I don't genuinely get the connection.
I don't either.
I don't get it. It's possible there were other like Mario Lego announcements that like were less exciting to me and therefore didn't catch
There
my
were
eye.
other Mario Lego announcements. Like there was like the Bowser train from 3D World.
Okay.
Like that is becoming a
Uh-huh.
set. There was another one.
Are there
that I
like
can't
Shy Guys
remember
on
now.
that he'd be like, oh
That'd be
no, Shy
fun.
Guys.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I don't know what the connection was. I genuinely don't know what the connection was.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometime in 2025, Lego Mario Kart is coming.
And this is, to be very clear, is the like Lego Mario as a thing, the like little plastic guy with the eyes that are screens, that before Luigi was released was like, I miss my brother. It is that. It's not just like a Lego Mario Kart, it's Lego Mario Kart. So that makes me think that there's going to be some element of like gamification to this Lego Mario Kart product, whatever it is. Is it like remote control? Do you like run it over like little sensors on your floor that are, like I don't know. There's some sort of electronics or interactive game element here that they'll reveal at some point, because it is a Lego Mario Kart and not Lego Mario Kart.
And then finally, we just wanted to talk about the passing of Dragon Ball creator Akira Toriyama, who passed away on March 1st at the age of 68 years old.
Yeah, and it was announced over the weekend or on Friday maybe, that he had passed away, and it is one of those just like outpouring of like love from all corners of like nerdery and fandom. I don't know about you, Mark, but like we're not big anime guys, right? But the couple of properties that Toriyama was the character designer for and artist for are like important to me in a way that I like don't really think about all that much. And, just like, oh yeah, and then Akira Toriyama's art in Chrono Trigger is amazing. And all of which is to just like the lead up to, I was not expecting to be as sad about this. Well, not that, yeah, I'm running like drills in my head of like, how sad will you be when this person dies? But like the news hit me kind of hard.
Yeah, it's amazing how much, not just Dragon Ball, but Dragon Quest
Yep.
and Chrono Trigger, like, for a lot of people, for myself at least, for sure, like Dragon Ball was my introduction to what anime was.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%.
And, yeah, just what a legend.
Well, and like especially when you think about what Dragon Ball is on a like storytelling level, that it's like so shallow, right? And like is a genuine time waster where two characters are like charging up for an episode or two before fighting each other. And the reason you keep going back to it is because those characters look incredible, right? Like he had like an undeniable talent to design dudes that you wanted to see every week.
I remember a few years ago, I went to see. They released a Dragon Ball Z animated movie. It was like, I want to say it was like Gods and Monsters or something like that.
Sure.
And I went to the Chinese theater in Hollywood
Yeah.
to see it, and it was a packed theater,
Right.
on like an enormous screen, and the audience was so into it, and it was so much fun. I remember there was like a moment like where everything went silent, and a person a few rows back went, Vegeta rules, and the entire audience was like, yeah. It was pretty great.
Vegeta does rule. I also think about how much, for us and for this show, there was a very long time where Dragon Quest XI's Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition for the Nintendo Switch was a like driving force of conversation between the two of us. I played through it, and then afterwards, a couple months later, you played through it. And so like the amount of time that we spent talking about, again, characters that he designed is it's impressive. Like I wonder how many hours of us talking about those characters. It's got to be a bunch. Did you see like going around after the news broke that he died, that there was like a comparison between what the Dragon Quest slime was like originally pitched as and what Toriyama's like take on it is? Because in the original like rendering, it is literally just like slime on the ground, like a little blob. And of course, Akira Toriyama draws the simplest, sweetest, cleanest little like Hershey kiss with a smile on it. The easy, like there's that design is the Nike swoosh, right? Like it is immediately recognizable. It is graphically satisfying, and it is persistent. It is not changed since the original Dragon Quest.
Yeah, it's just genius.
He was a genius. It is sad that we have lost him. All right, Mark, let's close this out. That is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Thank you so much for listening. If you would like to get into our Discord, just email us and we will welcome y'all in. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying thank you for listening.